Alright, so we're in for a treat today. We're here with our boy, chef owner of PETRONIO, Jose Luis. I'm in for a treat because I don't know too much about Pacific food, which is kind of on the west coast of Colombia, and this guy specializes. He's the master, or everybody, when you think of Pacific food, you think of this guy right here and his restaurant, which is PETRONIO. So we're super excited. Let's go check it out. So I'm here with chef owner from PETRONIO, Jose Luis. What's up, my man? Thank you for having me here, brother. I really appreciate it. No, thank you. They've told me, I've heard so many good things about this place. This place is specifically from a region on the Pacific Coast. We've heard so many good things about like this place, PETRONIO, the food. I'm not too familiar with food specifically from the Pacific, so I'm excited to actually try something very, very from there, and with your twist, because you have a lot of dishes that I was reading kind of some of the reviews that gives it a little twist, or what you were trying to explain to me. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about how you got started.
Mi padre trabajaba en el Club Colombian, y aparte de eso tenía casa de banquetes. Yo siempre estuve muy sumergido en el mundo de los sabores y del servicio. Entonces mi mamá me llevaba ocasionalmente comida del Club Colombia, entonces yo la consumía, y ahí fue que me volvió un problema para mi mamá, porque me empecé a volver muy exigente con la comida. ¿Sí? Después, ya con el paso de los años, fui como perfeccionando el paladar, y cada vez me daba cuenta que me gustaban sabores fuertes, sabores contundentes.
So déjame translate. So he grew up around the hospitality industry, literally from a young age. His father worked in banquet halls, at catering companies, and kind of they would always bring, like his father would always bring food to the house, and he would always taste. So what he was saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's what caught his attention the most were all different flavors, like flavors, and then he became very. He says it's good and bad for his mom because he became very demanding in the right flavor profile, in the right, like you had a high expectation of food now.
Quería salir de mi zona de confort, no me sentía que necesitaba crecer.
You needed to grow more. So you go to New Zealand and you start handing out applications. A few days later, the chef calls you. So he gets to New Zealand. He doesn't know a word of English. He thought he knew English, but he gets there. He realizes that he doesn't know any English. So he does a resume, and then he does Google Translate and starts sending it to different restaurants.
Exactamente.
A chef calls you.
Un chef me llama. Le contesto. No le entiendo absolutamente nada. Pero solamente le entiendo una palabra.
Work. A couple years later, right? You graduate. You end up going then to the Pacific. You spend about 8 months down there in the Pacific, learning the culture, learning the food. You kind of fall in love with the Pacific. So he falls in love with the Pacific, and that's when you said, "This is what I'm gonna do," right? And so you say, "I gotta go back to Bogotá, and I gotta do Pacific food."
Creo que PETRONIO se ha convertido en un referente de la gastronomía del Pacífico.
Cool.
Entonces, cuando las personas hablan de Pacífico,
en relación a PETRONIO.
Súper. ¿Por qué? Porque es que no solamente hablamos, o no solamente queremos que PETRONIO sea un restaurante. PETRONIO es un centro de acopio de la cultura del Pacífico. Acá tenemos música, arte, danza, gastronomía. Entonces creo que reunimos bastantes elementos y componen lo que trata el folclore del Pacífico colombiano.
What he's trying to say is with kind of the whole Pacific, it's more, it's not only a restaurant. It brings the culture, the paintings, the music, and just kind of puts the design and puts everything together from the Pacific here. And he was saying that he's very referred to when people talk about Pacific food, they talk about PETRONIO. I can't wait. I've heard so many good things about the restaurant. I know you've worked your ass off. It hasn't been easy getting to where you are. So I congratulate you, and I thank you for having me in your home. And bro, I'm ready to eat. Like, I'm excited. Tell me a little bit about this dish. We have a little toston, green plantain on the bottom. Can you make it like a little canapé, like a little cup? Then you have on the bottom, what's there? What's that?
Queso costeño.
Okay, queso costeño. Okay, como una crema.
Sí.
Okay, that's good. So it's like a cheese, cream cheese, but made with I guess cheese from the coast.
Exactamente, sí, es un queso especial de la costa. Lo que tenemos acá es un cremoso de plátano maduro.
Okay, so you have sweet plantain kind of in the middle right there. Okay,
Aguacate.
that right there, some avocado. And then the shrimp is from the Pacific?
Exactamente.
Okay, and then you toss it in what? It looks like it's tossed in something. Alright, so that's... The shrimp is perfectly cooked. I love the sweetness because it's like salty sweet, because you get the sweetness from the plantain, from the banana, the sweet banana, and then you have the crunchiness from the plantain, the saltiness from, I guess, the cheese at the bottom. Crunchiness, smoothness, saltiness, sweet. Man, very, very good dish. The explanation of the wheelbarrow is Popayan, one of these regions, kind of went through two earthquakes, one after the other. So in that process, they had to rebuild. So this carriage or this wheelbarrow represents rebuilding of Popayan and also of people that are very very progressive per se. So it also represents like the country, that region being very progressive. So these are the empanadas, which what he was saying, pipian. It's got potato and nuts inside. So actually you can see the potato in the back. I'm just gonna kind of dig in, and what the whole concept is just kind of dig in and pull whatever comes out. So look how cheesy this is. This is freaking amazing. Okay, so the gallina, so that's the cheese on top.
Exactamente. La gallina es esta, que tiene contraste dulce.
Oh man, wow. So he's saying that they wrap it up in plantain leaves, and then the flavor perfect. So he wraps it up in a plantain leaf. The head is what we call it. It's a little more gamey and it's very tough meat. So he cooks it at very low temperature for a very long period of time. And it's amazing. So we're heading into a couple more appetizers, which the food here is very like it's well portioned, very very well portioned. So
yes.
you come here, you come with hunger, ven con hambre. All right, so we have here green plantain around. Tell me what's inside?
Es ropa vieja, lo que llamamos es carne mechada.
Okay, so it's slow cooked for a really long time.
Es ahumada, es una carne que
smoked.
ahumado.
Okay.
Ogo, ¿cierto? Y un toque de ají.
Tomatoes, onions, slow cooked for a long time. Then you mechar it, you pull it.
Mechamos.
And then you have queso costeño on top.
Queso costeño, ese es un dip de queso y aguacate.
Okay.
Plátanos, que es lo que le da el contraste.
What's this fried stuff? That's sweet plantains. Okay, I thought it was cheese. Okay, sweet plantains. So you're gonna have some sweet, some crunchy, some smooth again.
Exactly.
And I feel it's gonna go. You can grab one first. Look how beautiful this is. Yeah. All right, so I can't eat this in one bite, so I'm gonna take it in 2 bites.
Este plato se llama Antojitos del Valle.
Antojitos del Valle. Okay, so all these 3 dishes are from el Valle del Cauca.
Valle del Cauca.
Which is the state.
Exactamente.
El departamento. Okay, so what's the difference between all of them? I see different shapes.
En el centro tenemos aborrajados.
Okay.
Plátano maduro relleno de queso.
Okay, so plátano maduro. Oh my God, you see that? Oh my God, I think I'm gonna love this one. So he made here like some little ajís, which we can call, ¿qué tiene el ají? Cebollita, pique.
Cebolla, picante.
Okay, so it's got a little spiciness.
Cilantro.
And it looks very fresh. Again, you have a little bit of saltiness from the cheese. You have the sweet plantain, which gives it the sweet flavor. The outside is corn flour. This is green yes.
Con chicharrón.
Look at that. So it's green plantain, como masao, cocinado, masa.
No es tan verde, es pintón.
Okay, so it's between green and ripe, very ripe. And then it's got chicharrón, which is panceta in the inside. Pork belly, which is amazing. The pork belly, very well marinated. It's got a little saltiness to it, but then the crunchiness from the outside and the green plantain. I think this is like a perfect combination. You can tell you use a very high quality product, like very, very fresh, very, very natural. I mean, you taste like really like just that little bite, just like everything I've had is very simple, but like I don't know, like I guess soul food, like food from the heart, food from the soul. I feel closer to the Pacific, and I'm gonna feel closer when I try this, because this is the typical dish from the Pacific. If we were to
Del Chocó.
Del Chocó, from El Chocó, and it's called El Cocao.
Encocado.
Encocao, okay, encocao. The presentation is absolutely beautiful. I love it. So we have shrimp. So because obviously from the coast is mainly seafood. Okay, so what do you have here in this beautiful presentation? Green plantains, which I love. What do they call these here? ¿Cómo se llaman esto acá?
Esos chips de plátano. Está el encocado,
okay,
que son langostinos, camarones, coco, hogo y mucho hierba de azotea.
Guys, this is a typical dish from
Más de 200 años de historia tiene ese plato.
More than 200 years of history. Cununos y tamboras. ¿Por qué?
Es que es un homenaje a la música del Pacífico colombiano.
Okay.
Los cununos son tambores largos que son representados por el pescado. Las tamboras son más pequeñas,
okay,
son utilizadas para la ejecución del currulao,
okay,
de la música del Pacífico.
This is a dish that's homage to the music and culture of the Pacific. The drums, and then these are the bigger drums. I wasn't expecting the flavors I got from here. I wasn't expecting the cheesiness, the softness, and the juiciness of the fish. And it's baked, so he bakes it at a very high temperature, is what he was saying. So this is all these flavors kind of cocinado por un largo periodo de tiempo. So it's cooked for a really long time. The beef, it's kind of like almost like our roast beef, but with a lot more flavor. And you feel a little bit of the sweetness, a little bit of the tartness, a little bit like agridulce, like sweet and sour. Okay, so this is like it's just a different flavor, huh? Muy diferente. And it comes like we're used to a flavor which is called posta cartagenera, which is from Cartagena. So I asked him if this was like that, and he says it's completely different, and it does. It tastes completely different. The other ones I think more meaty. This right here is un risotto.
Es un arroz chontaduro.
One thing you can be damn sure about is that you're not going to leave here being hungry.
Este plato se llama paella y para dos.
Paella y para dos. Okay. How do you say that in English? Paella and for two.
Sí, pero tiene una connotación en español, es diferente.
Yeah. So what do you have? We have shrimp, mussels, lobster, and this lobster's from the Pacific.
Calamar, exactamente.
Okay. So this limon mandarino I absolutely love using because it's called lemon mandarin. So it's a little sweeter. I think it's like a yellow lemon and throw some mandarin, like mix the mandarin with yellow lemon, and I think that's the flavor. So the rice is, ¿qué es lo que tiene el arroz?
Hierba de azotea.
Hierba de azotea, I smell it, lo huelo, diferente. So the same mix of herbs, they use it for different plates. So a lot of condiments. So we got shrimp, we got mussels, we have clams, we have calamari, we have some chorizo, which is all from the Pacific. I'm so excited that my first true experience of the Pacific was here, because I think you nailed it. Like I have been to the Pacific, but I haven't really been to the Pacific, and I couldn't understand at the beginning like the flavors, and every single dish had an explosion of flavors. Everything was, and they're not flavors that you typically are accustomed to having, I guess, with most dishes here in Colombia, right? Man, guys, Petronio, you guys want Pacific food, this is the place to be. Very, very different, full of flavors. I can say this is soul food. So, guys, I've had a blast. I thank you and your staff and your unbelievable crew. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. So, guys,
muchachos. Gracias.
Till next time.